Back to winning ways for Chelsea and into the top four of the Premier League. They turned the screw in the second half, as you rightly said, Roy. Curious goals, but they'll certainly take them in this situation. 2-1. Marc Cucurella scored it and started it.
Yes, it was a wonderful goal, that one, really. It was a really good run that he makes there, and they're the runs which aren't easy to pick up always. I think you need your fullback to tuck round very much in those situations. I think in a situation where there are two players free, in actual fact, you will see, I think you're better off leaving the furthest one free and getting at least in front of the nearest one. But unfortunately, the fullback doesn't get back in quick enough.
Yeah, it's a late one. It's very hard to pick up, isn't it? With the sometimes you can see midfield runners, certainly you can see strikers, or even wide men. You can track the runs. But when it's a fullback and they get forward into these positions, it's really difficult, isn't it?
But if you see the position there of the fullback, Lordy, he's really outside of the line that he needs to be in. He needs to be in at least the line with the other two defenders and well inside of the person going to make the run. And then, of course, you'd have to accept that if the cross goes over his head to the further one, you can't blame him. But you don't want him getting done on the inside like he's been done there.
Yeah. No, I mean, from Chelsea's point of view, they'll love that goal.
Great goal, yeah.
They'll love it. Cucurella, as you mentioned, Steve, he started the move. He then continues. He goes into midfield. He sees an opportunity to run into the box. I mean, we're seeing it more and more from certain teams now, but Cucurella gets in the box all the time. There's a couple of times in the first half that was nearly on the end of crosses as well, and very difficult to pick up. No wide man, no attacker wants to track their man all the way back. So inevitably, you get a free man a lot of the time in a dangerous position. So it worked a treat for that, and that was the goal that they needed to get their authority back in the game.
Yeah, and the goal that made absolutely sure. We could have had a story of three defenders scoring in one game.
Oh,
I think you appreciated Madueke's situation. You've had one or two like this down the years, haven't you?
Thankfully an attacking player scored. Wouldn't have heard the end of it, all these defenders. But actually, I thought it was poor defending from Doherty, who scored the Wolves goal. But I mean, when the ball goes over everybody's heads, they almost fall asleep at the back post. Once the ball goes over their head, you've got to turn and you've got to be ready again. But you can see two bodies at the back post there, Roy, queuing up to score while two Wolves players sleeping.
Yeah, to be fair, they're not easy to defend those headers back across the goal. It was a really good goal, and credit really to both Madueke and Jackson, who saw the opportunity there. I think it's easy to sort of criticise the defenders should not be caught moving across, for that. But that was the problem. They all move across. As the ball goes to that back post, everybody is moving across. So when the header comes back, they're on the wrong foot anyway. Their body shape's not right, as you rightly pointed out. But it's a harder thing to defend than one sometimes imagines. And all credit to Madueke, who's quick to read it there. And if not, Jackson's behind him.
Yeah, Roy's being kinder than me. I mean, I see Doherty there as a defender when the ball goes out. I understand it's not so easy, but he literally leaves his man and runs out of the 6-yard box. And I thought that was a strange move, because I'm wondering, why is he doing that? He's not trying to play offside. He just almost vacates the area, leaves his man, and his man scores. But no, I get it. Once the ball goes over your head, to switch back onto a new phase of attack, new angles, new players, it changes the game.
It's second phase in the box which is so important. All the times I was working, from crosses and from corner kicks, it's always trying to encourage your players not to get totally caught up in the first phase. Let the person who's in the first phase, in the heading duel, that's nothing to do with you, but don't you get caught up in that. You keep concentrating on what your job is. As Michael's rightly pointed out, his job there was not to allow Madueke to get in front of him. But it does happen more often than you think, and so many goals are scored on that second phase from a cross or a corner kick, more than you think.
And you're right, it's understandable. You think the ball, you're concentrating on not letting your man score, and then when the ball goes out of your area, you think, phew, that's the job done. And then all of a sudden, and an attacker's job is totally the opposite.
Exactly.
You see the ball going out of your zone, and you're thinking, you don't turn and what? You think, right, how am I going to score again? How am I going to score again? Every split second, you're thinking, where's the opportunity? How can I get on the end of it? So it's a different way of thinking, of course. One's an optimist, one's a pessimist. But yeah, I think Wolves could have provided. They certainly will be frustrated that they conceded it on a set piece.
But you loved Madueke being alive.
Absolutely. I'd expect nothing less from my attacking player. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of goals scored from set pieces tonight. So it just shows you the importance of them. Defenders coming up, using their size, their strength. And but that time it was an attacking player that just thinks differently, let's say, smells something that could happen. As I say, as aside from from Doherty then, and yeah, I like that. I mean, obviously, it wasn't a special finish, but just his awareness and his anticipation, I think, is to be commended.
Are they an even bigger part of the game than we've seen in a long time at the moment? These set plays seems to be. We've got specialist coaches, we've got record numbers. Is it becoming even more pertinent? Do you think, Roy?
One always seems to think so, and yet when you see the statistics at the end of the year and the percentage of goals scored from set plays, it seems to stay fairly stable around the 35-36% mark, which is always strange. And of course, it depends what you mean by set plays as well, really. I mean, it's I think one needs to break it down from corner kicks, from shots outside the box, direct free kicks, from the wide free kick that comes in. I'd like to see all that compartmentalised. But it's always been a very big part of the game. There's no doubt about that. And what we definitely have seen over the years I've been working, the quality of delivery is getting better and better. You've still got the situation, if you want to really score goals from set plays, you need people who can get on the end of the ball from the ball that's played in. To be fair, the ball's coming in now. If they do get on the end of it, makes scoring that a little bit easier. But you can go right back to the famous Leeds team with Reaney and Charlton and all those people, basically decent ball in, Jackie Charlton or Tony Adams want to get their head on the ball, and John Terry, they get their head on the ball. Yeah. And so nothing really changes strategically. But I do think, it's always been a very, very important part of the game. And I think that we are seeing now people coming into coaching staffs who really have got only one job, and that is to constantly analyse the opponents, where their weaknesses could be, to work possibly on different little movements. But I've got to say, I've not really seen that many free kicks, however clever they are, where I'm saying I've never seen that before. They've always been there. But people's ability to really hone in and get the best out of situations, that's, with Arsenal, how many times are the goals they score to do with Gabriel?
Absolutely.
Yeah. But I just wonder, when you were managing, even in the last couple of years, the day before a match, how much time would you spend on telling the group something, or in the week leading up to the game, something, say you were playing Arsenal, for example, at the moment, with Gabriel?
Well, you'd use your video analysis. That would be probably the major thing you do. Of course, you would go through it as well on the field. But the problem with going through on the field of play, and I learned this very early on, just before a European game when I was in Sweden, having players in there, having balls fizzed in as they're going to be fizzed in, and having people defending like they should defend, you risk injury. I lost a player from a head injury. It was a heading duel, and one got cut, and that's it, couldn't play the next day. So we're always very conscious of that. So a lot of it is done more or less in shadow play. In not every club, I'm sure, but in my clubs, I've always done it more shadow play, making certain people know their positions, attacking and defending, and then you really go through it in the video analysis. So I would like to think that the teams that I've coached have gone out knowing what our set play should look like and what they're going to come up against. But at the end of the day, it is a question, well, what delivery have we got? What delivery are we facing? How keen are we to get on the end of the ball? And how keen were they to get on the end of the ball? And sometimes you'll come away saying, well, they were better than us at set plays, but it might not be because they had better shape for their set plays. It might just have been that the quality was better and they had people prepared to make the effort to get on the end of the ball.
Does help. I mean, I've been thinking of set pieces for a while, and on the final word, we've done some analysis over the weeks. And my initial impression, as you're talking there about, the percentage of set pieces that have been scored this season, my initial feeling, and I don't know if I would be right, would be that a lot of corners are being scored from this season. Fewer goals from direct free kicks nowadays. Yeah, obviously, the lion players under the wall, then that enables everyone to jump. Very few goals going from direct free kicks compared to in previous seasons. So, but I guess by the end of it, as Roy said, by the end of the season, it'll be a similar number to normal. But I do think corners are becoming possibly more important, and as I say, maybe free kicks less relevant. But there will be somebody that's analysing this and thinking, right, we're going to have to do something different now to gain an advantage in a certain thing. And I think the free kicks, direct free kicks from the edge of the box, are the next thing to be changed.